Since Martha Stewart's daughter Alexis made a name for herself in show business, a lot about her life and her relationships has changed significantly. Whatever, Martha, welcome to The Alexis Show. In 2005, Martha Stewart had her own version of Donald Trump's show, The Apprentice. It had the same concept, just with Martha's brand and voice. Although the show, aptly titled The Apprentice, Martha Stewart, didn't last for more than one season, Martha did manage to get her daughter to take part in it before it ended. Alexis Stewart and Charles Koppelman, Martha's chairman of the board, would be joining Martha in the conference room. Martha called them a dynamic duo, saying that no one knows me better than Alexis.
Alexis and I, we still read children's books, and I'm waiting for grandchildren, of course, but that's beside the point.
Alexis herself was happy to be on board, saying in a statement that she felt honored to be a part of the show. She also described herself as Martha's original apprentice, saying, "Having contributed to almost every aspect of her business empire, I know firsthand what it will take for one of these 16 candidates to win the competition, and I'm not afraid to call them out in the conference room." In 2007, a 42-year-old Alexis Stewart, then single, opened up about her struggles with fertility treatments during an interview with Oprah Winfrey. She explained that at around 36 years old, she decided that she really wanted a baby. But describing that point in her life, she said that it wasn't a good time. Alexis told Winfrey that she started seeing fertility doctors 2 years later and tried treatments for a year because, as she said, getting pregnant at her age was hard, noting that her eggs were dry and crusty. Alexis was honest about the treatments. She described the many medications she took every month and talked about how often she had to see doctors to get ultrasounds done. She also said she had 3 egg implantations, but none of them worked. At the time, she revealed that she felt like she was, quote, sort of back to square one. To get through all of the emotions that come with fertility treatments, Alexis explained that she tried to treat the procedures like a job, saying, "If I get too emotional about it, I'll be unhappy all the time or freaked out all the time. So I look at it as sort of a chore, not about having a baby, but what I have to go through to get there."
It's scary enough already.
Talking about her fertility struggles certainly wasn't the only time Alexis Stewart let herself become vulnerable in a public interview. During a 2008 New York Magazine profile, she discussed her use of antidepressants. According to the publication, she was told she was chronically depressed in her youth, and in order to combat the depression, she started taking medication for it, specifically 25 milligrams of Zoloft 2 times a day. At the time of the interview, Alexis said she was still taking antidepressants, noting, "Now it's 150 milligram pill once a day, and that's almost nothing." When asked about her daughter's depression, Martha told the magazine that Alexis was always striving for perfection, and claimed that that was the reason Alexis went to therapy. She also shared that there was no history of depression on her side of the family. As could be surmised from her comments on the matter, Martha does not appear to think highly of therapy, at least not for her family, though she did send her daughter to a therapist when she was young. Alexis has reportedly confirmed as much, admitting that her mother disapproved of her going to therapy.
We should all go to family therapy, all of us, because there's a lot of stuff that you remember that I don't think happened, Martha.
For much of her life, it seems, Alexis Stewart did not have a great relationship with her mom. A source close to the duo told New York Magazine that Martha and Alexis have a complicated relationship, saying that, while they both have a lot of love for each other, they push each other's buttons. When asked if Martha provided her with contact comfort, such as a hug when she was a child, Alexis answered, "I think not," though she said that she wasn't into hugging anyway. She added that she always behaved well because she was constantly afraid of getting scolded. But even though Alexis and Martha might not always get along, New York Magazine's source said, "If anyone says a bad word about Martha, even if she's in a period of not loving her, Alexis is like a mama cat with her baby. She's deeply protective of her mother's legacy." If Alexis Stewart's relationship with her mom sounds strained, it's nothing compared to the relationship she's had with father Andy Stewart, Martha's ex-husband. At the time of 2008's New York Magazine profile on Alexis, she and Andy hadn't spoken in over 20 years. At this point, it probably wouldn't be surprising to learn that Alexis Stewart was very open and honest about her life on her Sirius satellite radio show, Whatever with Alexis and Jennifer. Her New York Magazine profile pointed out that, for the 2.5 years the show had been on air, she had talked about pretty much everything she had been through in life at the time: plastic surgery, Botox injections, fertility treatments, grooming habits. some of her sexual fantasies, an abortion she had in the past, and even her experimentation with lesbianism. Clearly, she prefers to live life like an open book. Alexis also used the show as an opportunity to voice her opinions on pretty much everything, from well-known celebrities to places to eat and her favorite music. She even spent some on-air time arguing with at least one guest until Sirius stopped sending people to appear on the show. It's apparently just the way Alexis is. In any interview she does or appearance she makes, she's unflinchingly honest, no matter the subject. In 2011, Alexis Stewart and her radio and television show co-host, Jennifer Koppelman-Hutt, wrote a book titled Whateverland: Learning to Live Here. Although the entire book wasn't about Alexis, she did spend a decent chunk of it writing about her family, especially her mother.
It's all about growing up, and fabulous pictures, by the way, and it is hilarious.
Alexis wrote, "If I didn't do something perfectly, I had to do it again." She added that she grew up with a glue gun pointed at her head, and said that Martha wasn't always very motherly and didn't make holidays particularly enjoyable. According to Alexis, she didn't allow her to wear a costume on Halloween and wouldn't take her trick-or-treating. Alexis added that Martha also handed her gifts before Christmas, telling her to wrap them herself without looking inside the boxes. Sounds like Martha's not quite as festive as we've been led to believe. Weirdly enough, despite Martha's image as a pro in the kitchen, Alexis also complained about food at home. In her book with Hutt, she wrote, "There was never anything to eat at my house. Other people had food, I had no food. There were ingredients, but no prepared food of any kind." Apparently, there was a sharp difference between the Martha Stewart the public knew and the one Alexis grew up with. For years, Alexis Stewart and Jennifer Koppelman-Hutt spent a lot of time together. They co-hosted their SiriusXM radio show and their television show, and they even wrote a book together. Although it was clear to viewers that the two were very different people, it also seemed like they were good friends. But in 2011, around the time that their book came out, it was revealed that the two had ended their friendship. Awkwardly enough, they still did press together for the book, promoting their shared work even though there was clearly tension between them. It was especially obvious in an interview on the Today Show when the two addressed the fact that they were no longer friends.
I do the radio show every day. Alexis doesn't want to do it anymore? Okay.
So you would be friends with Alexis if you could, but Alexis, it doesn't go the other way.
People are different. Yeah.
They didn't go into detail on what happened during their interview, instead just insisting that they had spent a lot of time together and were very different people. When asked if they would ever be friends again, Hutt said, "If she doesn't want to be involved in the relationship anymore, then that's how it is, and that's okay." In 2011, nearly 4 years after her interview with Oprah Winfrey about undergoing fertility treatments, Alexis Stewart finally had her first child, after spending up to $27,000 each month for in vitro fertilization, or IVF, procedures, not to mention the thousands she dished out for other medications. Alexis welcomed her daughter Jude into the world via a gestational surrogate on March 8th. Understandably, Alexis said that she largely refused to allow herself to be excited about the pregnancy, given how her surrogates had miscarried a total of 4 times before she had her daughter. Fortunately, everything worked out for baby Jude. As a single mother, Alexis didn't seem concerned that her daughter didn't have a father present in her life, saying, "Jude could have a father like mine, or she could have one that's not there. What's the difference?" She also joked about Martha being around Jude too much, claiming it's so annoying, and saying that her mother won't leave them alone. Martha soon had another grandchild to spend time with in 2012, when Alexis had a second child born via surrogate on March 6th, a son named Truman. Although it's pretty clear that Martha Stewart and her daughter didn't have a super close relationship growing up, it seems like things are a lot better now between them. Martha regularly posts photos of Alexis and her children on her Instagram account, and the two seem to be very protective of one another. In an interview with People, their close friend, Manhattan immunologist Dr. Sam Waxel, explained, "It's tough being Martha Stewart's daughter, and Alexis is very private. If one doesn't know her, one thinks she's arrogant or petulant, but they're truly close, and Alexis hates it when people criticize Martha." In fact, Martha even said she found Alexis's book, Whateverland: Learning to Live Here, hilarious, calling it enlightening and full of funny stories. She added, "I must have instilled in her some good habits. She's tall, beautiful, gorgeous, and mother of baby Jude, and that's all that counts." Martha and Alexis are obviously able to poke fun at each other and their relationship, as Alexis even dedicated her book to her mother, thanking her for, quote, not getting angry about anything written in this book. Martha Stewart is proud to be regarded as an octogenarian bombshell, telling InStyle it's fantastic that people admire her physique. She explained, "It's a good example for others, actually. I'm a teacher. I'm trying to teach others that you can look great. There's no reason to slump around." Martha frequently posts pictures of herself looking glamorous on Instagram, and the internet was quick to dub her a thirst trap queen. After a sultry photo of her in a pool went viral in 2020, Martha has leaned into the notoriety, even crafting a TikTok tutorial on how to snap the perfect thirst trap. While her social media presence is empowering, some of her other online antics have raised a few eyebrows. Like the time she roasted an Instagram post on her company's page from her personal account, or her admission of commenting on posts after a few drinks. Although Martha's social media savvy is entertaining for her fans, Alexis has reportedly begged her mom to dial it back. Martha admitted to People, "I get calls from my daughter saying, 'You can't do that, and you can't do that.' That's what I get from her. 'Don't you dare do that. Don't you dare do this.'